came from Millcreek residents about the final report and how we got to this point. So, first question to you guys. Did you study different forms of government, or was it only the council manager form? I'll give it to you, RJ.
Well, we've lived with the 3 supervisor roadmaster township government since it was created in 1800, so we know what that's about. So what we looked at was optional forms because we don't know what those are about. So we asked questions, we did interviews, we studied, we did Zoom calls, we visited some sites, so we could understand the benefit of that. Because of the top 25 populated second-class townships, Millcreek's the only one that still operates under that 3 supervisor roadmaster format. All the other ones have switched willingly to a different form of government.
All right, Bill, and some say changing government would cost twice as much as the current government setup. Cranberry Township has 4 managers, cost almost $1 million, and they're smaller than Millcreek. So what do you say to residents that are worried that this will cost them too much money to change the government, Bill?
Well, that's a good question, and we have looked at the economics of it. We've looked at all of the other townships that you just mentioned that were in our study. I'm not sure that it isn't going to be something close to a break even with a new form of government. We believe that there will be significant savings in some of the intangible indirect costs. The simplest one to identify is the legal expenses. Depends on whose numbers you look at, but arguably somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 more on average than most of the other townships that we had looked at. So there'd be a potential savings there. By having a manager that knows what they're doing and has some continuity from one department to the next to the following one, we believe that at that experience level will be much better. And so every time we elect a new supervisor, we got to go through a training process. So they may or may not have background. So we think that's where the savings are going to be.
Bill, kind of goes hand in hand the next question we got from Millcreek resident. With the recommendation to change the government and going off the final report, what items, if any, will raise costs for taxpayers? What items will reduce costs?
Well, the cost of the 3 township supervisors, their salaries are in round numbers about $90,000 plus fringe benefits at about 40% each. And so there's going to be some savings there. The next piece of the puzzle is, well, how much do you have to pay for a good township manager? Will they need an assistant? Probably yes. And so those costs are to be set in the future. But we think our best projection of what we think we can hire in the future will end up, if not a break-even point, a slight savings.
RJ, do you think people are interested in a change in government?
Absolutely. We were overwhelmingly elected as commissioners last fall, 60% to 40%. So I think the township residents are absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that form of government. It just doesn't fit Millcreek at this stage with 54,000 people. And I think a lot of people are focused on the finances, and I understand that. But the checks and balances that our recommendation would provide is immeasurable. And the continuity, the efficiency, the effectiveness of government would increase.
I'll open this up to both of you gentlemen. Do you think that the issue of the Millcreek government potentially changing has become a little political? I'll start with you, RJ.
I think everything in this town is political. Everybody's toeing the party line. We were elected as a nonpartisan group. I don't know who's a Republican, who's a Democrat. We are in this as volunteers to do what we can for the Millcreek residents. And that's what I think everybody's goal should be.
Bill, how about for you?
The same feeling is that it's becoming very politicized, unfortunately. There's a group that meets after our meetings, and I'm sure their focus is, well, what can they do to get other information to say, no, we ought to leave the same form of government out there. But very clearly, as you just said, we were elected as nonpartisan people. I can tell you from the meetings that we've been in, it hasn't been brought up at all as, gee, a Republican to do this or a Democrat to do that. That's not the case. We are here for the good of Millcreek Township. And I'd like to comment multiple times is that the voters make the decision. Our committee makes a recommendation, but the voters will make the decision on November 4th, right?
Exactly.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.